With a surface area of 17 million square kilometers, Russia accounts for 1/9 of the Earth's surface, making it even larger than Pluto, which has an area of 16.6 million square kilometers. However, it is also a country with quite harsh geographical conditions, with 77% of its area covered in ice. Its vast territory, stretching across 2 continents, results in Russia having 9 time zones, and it is so extensive that there are 35 official languages spoken in various local regions alongside Russian. But that's not all. This country is full of unique features, such as ice swimming in lakes with temperatures ranging from -5 to -10 degrees Celsius. And that's just the beginning of the many unusual and unbelievable things you might not believe actually exist in the world. Join the Shin as we explore a video about the bizarre and extraordinary things that only exist in Russia to see just how special this country really is. Leaving a car dirty is a violation of the law. It sounds quite unreasonable, doesn't it? Whether a car is dirty or clean should be a personal choice, right? Why should it be against the law? However, each place has its own strict environmental regulations, and Russia is no exception. In this country, a dirty car is considered a source of environmental pollution. Moreover, Russian authorities believe that excessive dust on a vehicle's windshield can obstruct the driver's vision, increasing the risk of traffic accidents. Of course, if you drive a very dirty car on Russian streets, you could receive a fine. Initially, you might face a financial penalty, but repeated offenses could even lead to imprisonment. This might explain why car wash services in major Russian cities are always busy, and washing cars is a profitable business. It's common to see gleaming cars on the streets. Perhaps it seems a bit excessive, but it's also quite interesting. And you might find the next regulation even more surprising, as it's another unique law in Russia. Tax people who grow long beards. In Russia, there is a peculiar law that has been in existence for over 400 years, which few people might be aware of: a tax on those with long beards. This law, introduced by Peter the Great in the 1600s, still technically exists today, although no official body is responsible for enforcing it. According to this law, the amount of the tax would depend on the length of a man's beard. Those with longer beards would pay more than those with shorter ones. However, this remains largely theoretical, as no one has actually been fined for non-compliance. In practice, there is no official body that collects this tax or enforces any penalties for evading it. Thus, it stands as a classic example of an unusual regulation that people often talk about, but which has no real-world impact. So, is growing a beard allowed or not? It seems confusing, doesn't it? If any of you are living in or have experience with Russia, please help confirm the status of this quirky tax law. Bathing in the ice lake. Bathing in ice holes might seem quite frightening to foreigners like us, but in Russia, it's a completely normal practice. Especially in January, Russians participate in a unique festival that not everyone is ready to join, immersing themselves in freezing ice holes. According to tradition, thousands of people come together to break the ice on rivers or lakes to create bathing holes. They believe that bathing in cold water during the winter will purify them and cleanse their spirit. This custom has been around for about 2,000 years, dating back to when Jesus was baptized in the River Jordan. Russians think that participating in ice bathing not only benefits health, but also helps to alleviate sins and purify the soul. This is one of the distinctive cultural practices in Russia, where perseverance and bravery in facing harsh weather conditions are both recognized and celebrated. Ban on import and production of mesh lace lingerie. A peculiar law that was implemented on July 1, 2014, in Russia prohibits the import and production of lace lingerie from abroad. The Russian health authorities explained that lace lingerie could have negative effects on the sexual health of the wearer. Consequently, since the law came into effect, all lace lingerie has completely disappeared from stores, and it is not allowed to be produced or sold within Russian territory. This regulation also applies to those arriving in Russia from other countries. You should remember that bringing lace lingerie into Russia could lead to legal issues and complications at the airport or border crossings. This creates a rather unusual situation where a routine shopping activity, like buying lingerie, becomes a legal matter requiring careful attention in Russia and neighboring countries. The enforcement of this law has sparked debate, with some arguing that it is a measure to protect public health, while others view it as excessive interference in personal choice and consumer freedom. What do you think about this quirky ban? Personally, I believe that if you plan to travel to Russia, it's best to leave your favorite lace lingerie at home to avoid potential hassles at the airport. Each country has its own specific regulations, and we should respect their cultural practices. Strange tightrope village. You might often see professional tightrope walkers performing in circuses or adventure documentaries, showcasing their skills on a thin rope after years of rigorous training. However, in real life, there are places where people walk on such tight ropes every day. One such place is Sovkra 1, a remote village in Dagestan, Russia. No one knows exactly how the tradition of tightrope walking began in Sovkra 1, but one thing is certain. For the past 100 years, every fit man and woman in the village has been able to walk on a tightrope. Even the village children cross treacherous terrain on tightropes to get to school, and many have become traditional circus performers. Legend has it that the men of Sovkra 1 learned the art of tightrope walking to reach their loved ones faster, avoiding the tiring walks to nearby mountain villages to court girls. They discovered that tightrope walking was an ideal solution. However, few people truly believe this romantic theory. Some locals think it's merely an efficient way to cross rivers and ravines when bridges are damaged. Others argue that it's an easy way to earn money in a region where agriculture is not feasible. In Sovkra 1, there is no arable land, no grains, and no bread. To support their families, the men started walking on tightropes. They have performed across Russia and Central Asia, with a group traveling to showcase their skills and bring pride to their country. The tradition of tightrope walking in Sovkra 1 has existed for so long that no one can remember when it started. By the 19th century, the skill was already well known in the remote Dagestan region. Schools for tightrope walking were established in Sovkra 1 to train young children to become circus performers. Many of these children performed on grand stages across Russia and won awards at international competitions. Unfortunately, those glorious days are now past, and this has had a significant impact on Sovkra 1. Many believe there is no future in pursuing a career in tightrope walking, so the younger generation has left the village for more stable jobs in larger towns and cities in Russia. Only a few remain, practicing their village tradition as a hobby. It's worth noting, though, that walking on a tightrope without any safety nets below, especially over deep ravines, is extremely dangerous. Take an ambulance to avoid traffic jams. For a long time, I thought that ambulances were only used for transporting patients for medical treatment. But it turns out that my initial assumptions were completely misguided. In Russia, the situation is quite different. Many cities have wide boulevards with up to 10 lanes, yet traffic jams still occur frequently. As a result, wealthy Russians often hire ambulances to use the priority lanes and avoid traffic congestion. In addition to emergency services, many ambulances in Russia also offer passenger transportation services. Some people even disguise their vehicles as ambulances to gain access to the priority lanes without speed limits. It's quite a clever and unconventional solution, but it seems like it's something unique to Russia. Owns a super long railway line. Russia is a vast country with diverse terrain, renowned for its extensive railway system that spans the largest area in the world. Russia also boasts one of the longest rail networks globally, with a total length of 85,500 kilometers. Each year, the Russian railways handle approximately 1.08 billion passengers and around 1.2 billion tons of cargo. This number is expected to grow even further in the future. The Trans-Siberian Railway in Russia, stretching 9,289 kilometers, is considered one of the busiest rail routes in the world. Having a diverse and well-developed railway system has helped Russia build a strong transportation infrastructure and provide numerous benefits to the country. With its ongoing commitment to investment and development, Russia continues to affirm its role as one of the countries with the longest railways in the world. If you visit Russia, don't hesitate to experience traveling by train and exploring these railways. Even if you can't travel the entire length, I'm sure you'll immediately appreciate the unique experience it offers. Vodka and beer are popular soft drinks. In Russia, two beverages are quite popular and are even consumed daily by many people. Vodka is one of the most widely consumed alcoholic drinks in Russia and many other countries. The name vodka comes from the Russian word voda, which means water, reflecting how casually people in Russia consume this drink. Additionally, Russians historically did not consider beer as an alcoholic beverage until 2013. According to statistics, the average Russian consumes about 18 liters of alcoholic beverages per year, which is roughly double the level of alcohol consumption considered dangerous. It is estimated that around 500,000 people are affected annually by issues related to alcohol, and approximately 25% of the Russian population dies before the age of 55 due to alcohol-related causes. This highlights how significant an issue alcohol consumption can be. The high percentage of alcohol-related deaths in Russia underscores the serious impact that drinking can have on individuals' health and life expectancy. Karachay Lake is the most dangerous place on the planet. Few people are aware that the seemingly beautiful Karachay Lake in Russia, with its deep blue water, is actually a death lake. This picturesque location is far from a peaceful retreat or a sunbathing spot. In the 1990s, just standing on the lake's shore for an hour could expose someone to up to 600 roentgens of radiation, enough to be lethal for a healthy individual. Karachay Lake, the most heavily radioactive lake in the world, is located in the Chelyabinsk region south of the Ural Mountains. It was discovered in the 18th century, but its dangerous reputation began in earnest in 1951 when the Mayak Production Association, one of the Soviet Union's largest nuclear facilities, started dumping radioactive waste into the lake. The lake was subsequently renamed V9 Waste Reservoir. For many years, various forms of radioactive waste were directly discharged into Karachay Lake. The lake, covering an area of about 260 hectares and with a depth of 3 to 4 meters, has a sediment layer at the bottom that is highly radioactive. The contamination levels in Karachay Lake are twice as high as those at Chernobyl, the site of the infamous nuclear disaster in 1986. Each year, the radioactive waste in the lake emits up to 120 million curies of radiation. Efforts to clean up the radioactive contamination in Karachay Lake could take hundreds or even thousands of years, and it's possible that the contamination might never be fully eradicated. Russians learn not to laugh. In Russia, people are not accustomed to smiling without a reason. While a smile is often seen as a sign of happiness and friendliness in many cultures, Russians do not view it the same way. For Russians, smiling can be seen as a sign of weakness or an unnecessary display of true emotions. They tend to smile only at people they know well and care about, and not at strangers as in many other cultures. So, if you smile at a Russian on the street and they don't respond, don't be upset. It's simply how they are, and they mean no offense. National Conception Day. In Russia, there is a special holiday known as Day of Conception, celebrated annually on September 12th. This day is particularly popular in the Ulyanovsk region, the birthplace of leader Vladimir Putin. It is a day dedicated to encouraging Russian workers to take time off to have children. The holiday has proven effective, as birth rates in Russia tend to spike in June each year, 9 months after the holiday. Residents of Ulyanovsk, who give birth on Russia's National Day, June 12th, receive various prizes, including cars, refrigerators, cash, and other awards. Additionally, Russia holds several records related to childbirth. For instance, the most prolific mother in history was a Russian woman named Valentina Vasily, who lived in the 18th century. She gave birth to 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets, totaling 69 children over 40 years. Such extraordinary cases make for fascinating and astounding records. Strange customs still persist. It's hard to believe, but even in modern Russia, where many new values and technologies are embraced, numerous superstitions and old customs still persist among the people. These practices often stem from ancient traditions or stories passed down through generations. Here are some common superstitions in Russia. 1. Knocking on wood. It is a common superstition to knock on wood 3 times or to spit over one's shoulder to ward off bad luck. Although this might seem unusual, for Russians, it's an essential way to protect themselves and their families from misfortune. 2. Beliefs about animals. Superstitions related to animals and birds are widespread. For instance, the cuckoo bird, which is mysterious in Slavic culture, is believed to predict a person's lifespan. The number of times it sings is thought to represent the number of years one will live. Conversely, a black cat is considered an omen of bad luck. If you dream of a black cat or encounter one crossing your path, it could signify trouble or misfortune. Additionally, dreaming of bird droppings on your clothes is believed to predict financial gain, while spilling salt or breaking dishes might lead to arguments or bring good luck. 3. New Year's customs. On New Year's Eve, Russians often celebrate with a great deal of enthusiasm, believing that how they spend the night will influence the entire year ahead. This reflects deeply ingrained cultural beliefs and attitudes. 4th, money and objects. There are specific customs about handling money and objects. For example, Russians avoid handing money directly to someone, as it is believed that money can transfer negative energy. Additionally, an empty bottle left standing on a table is thought to lead to financial loss, and whistling indoors might bring bad luck. Gifts of knives or watches are also avoided, as they are believed to bring misfortune. Passing items across a doorway is considered unlucky as well. If you plan to travel to Russia, being aware of these common superstitions and practices can help you navigate cultural nuances and avoid potential faux pas. The colder it is, the more active it is. Russia, known as the land of ice, experiences extremely harsh weather conditions, especially in the Arctic regions such as Siberia and the Far East. Temperatures can plummet to -30 degrees Celsius and even lower. Despite this, the residents continue their lives as usual during the frigid winter months. Life goes on with people working, commuting, and enjoying recreational activities as if nothing unusual is happening. The inhabitants of Siberia and the Far East have developed their own strategies for coping with these extreme conditions. From dressing warmly to using suitable transportation for snowy conditions, winter is not just a challenge, but an integral part of daily life. Activities such as ice fishing, snowmobiling, and participating in traditional festivals like snow festivals are carried out regularly under the heavy winter cold. With a spirit of resilience and readiness to face the harsh weather, the people of these regions have created a unique, sustainable lifestyle that is deeply embedded in their culture and national identity, preserved and evolved through generations. It's a remarkable and admirable way of life, one that even the laziest among us might find inspiring. As you can see, Russia is full of strange and fascinating things. If you encounter these peculiarities when you visit Russia, don't be surprised. It's all part of life in the land of the white bear. Among the unusual things mentioned, what impressed you the most about Russia? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give the shin a like. Subscribe to our channel to keep up with more exciting discoveries. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.